Okay, so this was more asked on Minds the other day, but writing process. Alright, when I was first starting out, I had one very, very, very simple goal: 500 words a session. Whether that session lasted 1 hour or 2 hours, I would try to get my goal of 500 words. With draft 1 of Uplift Protocol, it was kind of like a list, kind of like Empress Teresa, where it's like, Eliza did this, Eliza did that. Again, when I was starting out, it's just me trying to put the words to paper and figure out how story work. How do this? Caveman zug zug. Me make fire. Me learn how to do fire. And the other thing is to try to write something every day. And for me, that meant, like, say, do a bit of dialogue, do some outlining, and sometimes the outlining could be simply like a couple of sentences of what would happen in that current issue. Again, how to put this? It could be something as simple as Eliza goes for a walk, encounters bad guy on the street, they have a fight. Even if it's just very basic wording, you can try to get an idea of like what you want to do. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. Again, Florida Woman versus the English language, it's okay. It just has to be a basic outline of whatever ideas you have. You don't even have to worry about the dialogue and everything at first. What's been helping me along the way is also trying to read things even outside of wheelhouses I'm used to or interested in. Like, see how some people break down, fight setups. Just, keep reading, basically. And I know sometimes it's hard to make a lot of time for reading when you're also writing a whole ton. But usually I would take maybe about 30 minutes of the day and just read something. Mostly for me, it was like stuff by Sersova, the pulps, because that's the stuff I really want to target with my writing, is just like kind of a workman level of entertainment, like the 9 to 5 people, because even though my schedule isn't 9 to 5, I have a similar setup, but it's more for the evening. I usually am for 4 p.m. to 11 with my daily grind retail job. And with my writing, I want to target those of us that have a similar setup, where you might only have 20 to 30 minutes a day to read something, maybe even 15 minutes a day to read something. And I want to be able to get through enough of the plot in each issue to where you can get through to that in a little bit, in a bite-sized thing every day. And a lot of the pulps did that. Now, some pulps ended up having, very added on language, very elaborate prose. Some didn't. Some were pretty, basic in terms of like get characters from point A to point B, and then you keep going. There is no wrong writing process, but you won't really develop a writing process until you start writing. Like I've said before, even in the writers' room for Wednesdays there with Ishii's channel, like, you have to see what kind of things do you want to see as a writer. What kind of tastes do you have? Do you like the overtly eloquent kind of prose of, say, Tolkien, or do you want something that's a little bit more, like white collar worker level or blue collar worker level? It just depends on what you want to target. Again, for myself, I just want something that I can read in chunks and feel like I've made a decent amount of progress in a story. Because with the way my schedule is, I rather cater to that, and Uplift Protocol is basically all about catering to myself. But I am glad people are, jumping in just to take a look or join me in on this ride. And just to bring this up from the other day, a generic entity was saying to me, congratulations on the completion of book 5. Just check notes, a few more. keep it up, and you've got the brilliant madness I expect of a British explorer with a pipe, walking stick, 3 quid in her pocket, and I'm trying to remember, I think quid means money from the other side of the pond there, and an old map etched on a piece of raccoon leather. And I mean it in the nicest way. And it's just like, even little comments like that make me happy because, yes, I know my quest for Uplift Protocol is kind of like Don Quixote going after those windmills, but it's just a particular subset of themes and wheelhouses and windmills that I want to put in my story, which is why I also had, Matarn make that kind of connection. Well, back when his body was disconnected from his soul and they had that whole incident with the art talk, it's like, yeah, there's just a particular brand of crazy I want with Uplift Protocol, because that's just me, the writer, that wants that part. And again, I am thankful for everybody that does check it out. I know my wheelhouse won't be to overlap with everybody, and I don't think it's meant to. I'm just thankful that I wasn't the only one that was like, I need this particular brand of themes and elements and everything crammed into one story. And overall, you'll see that, like, as I'm writing these things, it's mostly about the family relationships and dynamics, which, I'm trying to train myself on writing kind of like a little bit more combat scenes that might pop out at people. But I know that's also something that's a weaker point in my writing. And there's plenty of time to improve. I'm just having a field day, showcasing this current draft to the world on the blog, and hopefully I'll be able to deliver an awesome product. I'm trying to aim for early 2023, to basically figure out all the formatting, get the physical copies set up, because I might go through Lulu to do a nice hardbound copy. We'll see. Again, this is just me, the writer, trying to put on a different hat and be like, okay, how does distribution work? Aha! How can I set up the e-files for the Mobi format to where it's not having some weird artifacts in it or weird formatting? It's just it's a lot to learn besides different writing tips and tricks and things like that. And even with your writing process, indies have to wear more than one hat, especially if they want to like promote themselves or set up a reading base, which is kind of like what I'm aiming to do with the blog. Try to build up a reader base. And again, guys, it's okay if you don't even want to look at Uplift Protocol until I'm completely done. Like, the main sequence in all 13 books are completed, and you can basically view it at your leisure on the blog and see where this whole story is going. It's completely fine, but I guess to get a little bit back on track with the minds bit, I had one guy asking me, like, how do you get into, like, kind of like the writing mindset or your process and everything else? And even back when I was starting out, I dedicated a chunk of time before and after work to write something. It's the reason why you see, like, I only have a couple of videos every once in a while here on the channel, and for the rest of this month, and besides doing some prep work in the background for the launch of book 6, Escape Velocity, I'm going to be using the rest of this month to try to catch up on reviewing. I know I've been sorely lacking in the reviewing department, because half the time it's like, do I review? Do I read? Do I write? Oh my god, because once you do have a process, just dedicate a chunk of time to where that's all you're going to do. You're going to just write. And for me, I have to have music or something going on in the background, a podcast, whatever, as I'm writing, so that way it's kind of like, it makes it easier for me to just fall into the mindset I need to write. So usually nowadays, my current setup is 2 hours before work, I'll set aside time to write. 2 hours after work, unless of course, it's Wednesday, and then I'll do my writing after I'm done, streaming with Ishi and Kat there. Uh, and sometimes I can get 1,500 words out. Sometimes I get 3,000 words out in a session, but not all those words, they won't always end up in the final, draft that's posted to the blog. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I move stuff to later chapters or later books, and I'm like, okay, I'll just put this over here because that particular storyline makes more sense for this book over here. Eventually, you'll get a kind of writing process set up. You can read all sorts of books about the process in itself if you want to, but honestly, doing ends up making things into a habit, and that habit will turn into, well, here's the foundation of my process, And again, you don't have to perfect everything in those initial goes. I think sometimes holds some people back. They want to have a completely perfect product, but it's not gonna happen. You will find typos after the fact. I still find typos after the fact when I go back and look, and like I have to update links and like, okay, connect this chapter to this chapter. I'm like, oh wait, oops, I accidentally put the wrong name over here. Let me change that, because oops, when I meant to write Anna, I put in the name Hillary. Oops, because Hillary wouldn't be with the good guys. Oops, Daisy. It's just one of those things where you gotta keep writing. You'll develop your process over time. You'll develop your own kind of writer's voice over time. The biggest thing is just keep writing and write every day. See you later, everybody.